Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I am delighted to be joined by Chris McElwain, and we're here, of course, to talk about the first half of the Scottish Cup Final 2024. It's Celtic 0, Rangers 0 at this moment. And I just said to you, Chris, how are things? You're a wee bit tense. I mean, I'm watching that game. Celtic are dominating possession, of course, but, it's been kind of free and open when on the attack. I don't think that... any side have created great chances, but there's a few talking points. Where's this tension coming from? Just because we've not made the breakthrough?
To be honest, I think the game itself's been pretty even. It's been quite scrappy. I don't think we've played great. I don't think we've played particularly bad either. I think the biggest frustration for me so far is just the fact that, I mean, at this point, I'm actually amazed that Rangers didn't get a foul during the halftime, the pre-match handshakes, rather. Because it seems like any whisper of contact at the moment they're going down. Really frustrated with the lack of penalty, which I'm sure you want to come on to. I thought there was a blatant handball, particularly given the interpretation of the rules this season so far, which we've been on the wrong end of. I think KILMARNOCK's booking was similarly ridiculous. For me, that was, it's not persistent fouling. There was no major contact there. I know he's gone down. For me, it's a nothing challenge. So a bit frustrated with some of the officiating. I don't think the game's been allowed to flow. Don't know if the pitch is doing as many favours either. Our guys seem to be doing a lot of slipping on the pitch. I don't know if they've watered one side more than the other or something. But overall, yeah, it's finely poised is the way I would describe it at the moment. It's finely poised.
Finely poised. It should be. I thought it was going to be any other way, Chris, because I mean, coming into this game, I think there's maybe some of the games of the four this season where the scoreline has flattered Rangers. However, they have been tight in the end up, and we were speaking about that coming into the game. I know that there's been confidence within some of the viewers in the comments section talking about 3 and 3-1 and 4-0, etc. I've never really felt about that all season coming into these games. I think going into many of them, we've been up against it with regards to not having our strongest 11. Today we do have our strongest 11, and it is finely poised. Celtic have the domination of the possession, but I want to start off by talking about the penalty shout, because one of my biggest frustrations is I think I've seen the replay once. That's it. Yeah. There was no real labouring over that. There was no real analysis as to why it wasn't a penalty. But we've got to remember as well, broadcasters are hearing information from the VAR room into the referee's earpiece, right? They know before we do what's going to happen. And the fact that the commentary team didn't labour it, didn't discuss it, moved on so rapidly without saying, why on earth was this not a penalty? And of the three that I'm listening to, not one of them spoke about it after the one replay. It suggests to me that it's flippantly just been overlooked by the VAR team. They've just said, no, and often what I think you can also try and gather, having got used to the way VAR works, is that whatever the broadcasters are hearing in their ears, they run with it. So I'm hearing that's a natural body position. No, it's not. No, it's not, because he's actually moved his arm out for the ball to connect with it. But the fact that McFadden says that would suggest to me that that's the message coming from VAR, Chris. That was an absolute stone waller of a penalty kick for me.
Like I say, I think when you compare it to what we've seen throughout this season and multiple matches, not just ours, by the interpretation of the rules, and actually one of the Acsom team actually posted a still, which tends to be what you see on VAR. And on the still, I mean, it's almost like the way a basketball player would clutch a basketball when you see it like that. And I know that makes it worse, but yeah, for me it was a blatant decision. I think that was really, really poor. I think, a bit further down in the half, when you see Cantwell going down with what looks like, based on his reaction, a season-ending injury, only to, see that replayed about 18 or 19 different times, and then he gets back up and runs about like a whippet. I think, yeah, you have to start questioning what's going on behind the scenes there, because, we've seen them given so often this season. But look, there's one decision throughout a half where I don't think we've really got into a rhythm yet. There's been some great play throughout the In certain passages, I thought Hatate looked as though he was potentially going to score a worldie, which sadly blocked in the box. But I thought it was great build-up play. Maera's getting a bit of purchase down that left-hand side as well.
Yes.
And I have to say, something we don't often say about Maera, but his first touch actually today looks on it. Looks excellent. He's bringing the ball down and he's creating space. If anything, I think he's lacking a wee bit of support when he's in those positions. I think we need to maybe get up the field a bit quicker and support him when he's got the possession in that area, because we could make something of it. We had a wee Scalesinho run in the earlier in the half as well. Liam Scales venturing forward and actually getting plenty of space and purchase to do so. So I think we've still got a good opportunity here. I'm not feeling under threat at the moment in terms of the match. I still think we're the better team. I think we could control it. I know Rangers had a few chances, but I think we can control it. But we need to take it up a gear a little bit. I think we've not necessarily got to the level we need to be at just at this stage anyway.
No, just while you've been talking through that, I'm bringing up a lot of the reaction from the viewers, and often you'll be sitting and you're watching it through your own lens. Many of these decisions, and I'm more than happy to be corrected. If someone can tell me why that isn't a penalty, please let me know, because you're not getting it from the commentary team. And as I say, I think that because they're hearing audio, you can almost get a sense, Chris, of what the VAR team are telling the referee, and they're going on about a natural body position. No chance, absolutely no chance. I've not seen the still yet because we've only seen one replay. Yeah, why is that not a penalty? Iwata at Hearts facing the wrong way. Yeah, it is a penalty. And I'm focusing on that because it's one of the biggest calls of the first half. I'm not taking away from the fact Celtic have not been brilliant in the first 45, because we've not seen a vintage performance. We need to up the game, says Lord Flashheart, in the second half. And can I just say, right, that what I'm taking from that as well, having covered every game this season, every single game that Celtic have played this season, every kick of the ball, often I've sat here at half time and we've not been brilliant in the first half. We've spoken about being good for 45 minutes of the game. Well, that's the bad half out the road, Chris. This is one thing I'm taking here. And I don't know if it's because a good manager, a manager who knows a game plan, knows when the team are not playing to that game plan, knows how to identify why the game plan's not working, gets the troops back in at half time, reassembles them, and they come out. And often what you see with this Celtic team this season, first 10, 15 minutes will take the lead. And I'm kind of holding on to that because I've seen it so often this season, Chris.
Yeah, we've mentioned all the cliches, Jekyll and Hyde and game of two halves and all that sort of thing. I'm the same as you. I'm hoping that was the challenge at half out the way. And as I say, we've seen them play a lot worse than that this season. So I'm not unduly worried. As I say, I think there was enough in that first half to show me that the capability is there. We're not struggling in the game. I just think, as has been mentioned on the comments, and I said, we're just not hitting the level that we know we can play at yet. So it'll be interesting to see how we approach the second half. I think this is still the strongest line we could have kicked off with, but I like the fact we've got some options on the bench. We've got Ida can come in, Kuhn's got a bit of running in him, Palma is obviously been on a high after his goal last week as well. So there are definitely attacking options to come in there as well. But we have to be wary. Look, there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal, and Rangers are definitely wounded after this season. This is they need this, right? Probably more than we do, although as a supporter I never like admitting that. But you're saying, they're putting in real effort into trying to win this game and pulling every trick in the book, to be honest. But I think we've got the ability to step it up in the second half, take them to task, hopefully get the game done in 90 minutes. But even so, we've got the options on the bench to come in late in the game to hopefully make a difference, should we need to rely on that. So still confident.
Yeah, we do have good options on the bench, and there's a few in the comments section talking about changes at half-time. The two players that are being identified as not having the best first halves seem to be Hatate and Scales. I think it's a wee bit unfair on Scales. Now, I have noted a few things that I was unhappy with in the first half with Liam Scales. But I think when it comes to the defending, if it gets to the point in the later stages of this game, if we're protecting the lead or we're under under attack, I think that's when Scales comes into his own. He can throw himself in front of balls. He can win headers and tackles. I think sometimes, although there was the one you mentioned where he's taken probably a 60-yard run, he's looked up to get rid of that ball 2 or 3 times during that run, by the way. He wants rid of the ball. And sometimes he runs out of ideas, he turns back, and the momentum is lost from the move. I get that. And it looks bad. As a fan watching the game, it does look bad. I think defensively, there was one question around, if we're talking referees, him bringing down Dessers at the edge of the box. Again, we've not seen enough angles of it from where I'm watching to know. It looks like it's outside the box to me, Chris. And it does look like a shove in the back. It does look like a foul. So if you're trying to be as balanced as possible, he needs to up his game, because right after he did that, he finds himself in the middle of the midfield, and he gives the ball away really cheaply. So it's almost as if he's rattled a wee bit and he's not composed, and he's given the ball away very, very quickly after almost giving away a foul. So, people might think we got away with one there. I'm not sure it's in the box. I'd need to see it again, though, before put my mortgage on it. Stephen Sloan, that should have been a penalty for Rangers, says Stephen. What was Scales thinking? It was poor by Scales, but from what I've seen, Stephen, and I would need to see it from a different angle, it looked outside the box to me. But I'm not doing that with the green tinted specs. I've simply not seen it from the side angle. James Pearson, you're back in the game. Refereeing in this game has been appalling. Agreed. How often are Celtic players going to be butchered before a yellow is produced? Countless games now. Why was Davis' handball not looked at by VAR? That's the biggest thing. But again, I'm just going by the habits I've picked up over this season watching so many games. Sometimes the commentary team gives you an idea of what the ref and the VAR are communicating. And it looks as though they've thought, natural position. That the arms are in a natural position, the ball's hit him in the arm. Nonsense. The arm comes away from his body and changes the trajectory of the ball. So penalty kick all day long, prove me otherwise. Aero says we're not playing with a swagger. I agree with that. I think it's a poor first half performance. And if we're a one-half team today, as we have been many times this season, I'm hoping to see more of a swagger in the second half. Philip McCabe, why did VAR not look at the handball? Honestly, when it happened, I was thinking the exact same. Why are we not looking at this? Why are we not going through every single angle? Why is he not getting called over to double check it? It didn't happen. Hatate is being hooked by many in the comment section. I think it's too early for that, unless he's been injured, because he was hobbling a wee bit near the end of that first half. I said it was going to be his vintage performance of the season. It's not happened so far, Chris.
Typical, yeah. I think, I'd say it's, unless he is injured, as you said, I'd say it'd be too early to hook him at the moment. I don't think he's had enough opportunity in that first half to really make a difference. I say that the one real good bit of build-up play where he had the knockdown coming from the right-hand side and volleyed it, and it looked like it was one of the sweetest type volleys I've seen, but unfortunately it was just too crowded a box to get through. But I don't think he's had the chance to influence the game the way you would hope or necessarily expect. If he's able to continue, I'd give him to around about the 55, 60-minute mark, because I like I said before the match, I think that's still the best balance that the midfield can have at the moment, and I still think there's spaces there that can be exploited. But yeah, there is going to come a point where we have to look at possibly changing it. And I think he would be out of the three midfielders. Okay, Callum's on a booking, which is something we have to consider. But I think Hatate at the moment would be the first option to be subbed off. But do you know what? We've said that before, and actually Hatate's come on in the second half and actually made a real difference, a real contribution. So let's not panic at the moment, right? It's half time. It's a finely poised game. I don't think anyone's really dominating, but I still think we've got a level up we can go to, whereas I'm not 100% convinced that Rangers can. So I'd like to see us come out with a bit of intent in the second half, try and put them under a bit of pressure. Some good performances to touch on there. I mean, I thought James Forrest, in addition to Maeda, I think the two guys on the wing have done pretty well. Matt O'Reilly's looked, and he's not quite, hitting his standards as we always talk about, but he's getting in amongst it. So I think there's still enough out us just now, I think, to go and take the lead and hopefully go into the win. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's still nothing each around about the 55, 60-minute mark that he starts maybe taking a look at that bench and deciding it's maybe time to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's players on that bench that can change things up for us. Bernardo or Awata, depending on which one you go for, changes the shape of that midfield. You can look at either do you bring him on and replace Kyogo, do you bring him on and keep the two of them on the park, which we've done this season. And then, of course, fresh legs on the wings. We do have Palma on there, who scored, the final goal in the league campaign, scored the winner against St Mirren. He's done the business earlier in the season. Can he be counted upon? Interesting enough, not on the bench are Yang or O. So what does that say about their future? I don't know. We never touched on it before the game. We're just about to go back for the second half action. This is, says Ronan, where Rodgers earns his money. I think he will. Let's go back to the action. Join us at full time on A Celtic State of Mind. All that's left for me to say thank you, Chris McElwain, a.k.a. Double Denim, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.